For more than 10 years, Cornelia Marie was the center of Deadliest catch. It was made popular by Captain Phil Harris. Josh and Jake, his kids, vowed to continue his legacy. However, everything changed irrevocably in August 2022. Josh had been hiding a sinister secret for 24 years until a long-lost court document came to light online. Discovery promptly removed any traces of the boat from their network due to the horrible nature of the incident. Almost immediately, all of the programs were taken down from streaming services. Everything Josh's father had created was destroyed by what he did as a teenager. At Horton Boats in Bayou Labatra, Alabama, the Cornelia Marie was constructed in 1989. It felt like the end of an era for that little shipbuilding town, which had been producing boats for generations. One of Elmo Horton's final large ships was the Cornelia Marie. It had a draft of 11.7 feet and dimensions of 128 feet long by 28 feet wide. It was prepared for the harsh Bering Sea and was made of hefty steel. It had a significant advantage when racing to the crab grounds thanks to its twin 750 horsepower Cummins QSK 19mm diesel engines, which propelled it to 14.5 knots. There were 3,000 gallons of fresh water and 2,800 gallons of fuel in the tanks, sufficient for lengthy journeys without reversing course. The boat immediately established itself as one of the most durable vessels available, despite costing $2.5 million to build, which was a fortune at the time. The wife of Ralph Collins, the man who commissioned it, gave it the name Cornelia Marie. In recognition of her contribution to his life in the fishing industry, Ralph named the boat after his wife, Cornelia Marie Collins. She worked closely with him and was more than just his wife. In a world where ships were typically called after myths or concepts, that name distinguished the boat. Cornelia became a co-owner of the boat and her name remained on the hull even after the couple's divorce. From Kodiak to Dutch Harbor, the Cornelia Marie was easily identifiable thanks to its aquamarine and white paint and yellow banners. The Cornelia Marie had to contend with the worst of the Bering Sea from the beginning. It caught salmon, herring, king crab, and opilio crab. It had an advantage during those brief, intense crab seasons because of its enormous fuel and water supplies, which allowed it to stay out longer. The early crew, which included both seasoned sailors and novices, had to contend with dangerous conditions, harsh winds, and cold waves. When the large valley collapsed in 2005, the Cornelia Marie even assisted in the hunt for survivors. One man survived. The boat gained a reputation for dependability and durability as a result of these tests, long before it was well known on television. Among fishermen, the Cornelia Marie was already well known in the 1990s and early 2000s. Its length was increased by 22 feet during a major renovation, which also increased its crab capacity by 100,000 pounds. This enabled it to transport more than 300,000 pounds in a single journey. The Cornelia Marie persevered throughout difficult circumstances when other vessels failed. It was renowned for both its crew's talent and efficiency. The boat was successful because of its hard labor, wise decisions, and ongoing improvements, qualities that subsequently made it ideal for reality TV. The legend of Cornelia Marie included Bill Harris's story. He became a co-owner after joining in the early 1990s, and in 1998 he assumed the role of captain. Harris had a strong sense of loyalty and was stern and demanding. He was devoted to his crew and supported them no matter what. He spent over 2 decades with the boat. Harris's path started when he dropped out of high school at the age of 17. He had been fishing with his father since he was 8 years old, and he was raised in Bothell, Washington. He got interested in crab fishing because of a friend's success. In a single season, the friend earned almost $100,000 and purchased a brand new vehicle. Driving a beat-up Chevelle, Harris wanted the same thing. He left school to go north. He had a difficult first season. After the captain made fun of him, he returned despite earning nothing and even quitting once. Harris struck gold at the age of 19, making $130,000 in a single year. Harris had his first boat, the Golden Viking, before the age of 21. On his birthday, his own skipper had given him the captain's chair. Massive obstacles, debt, repairs, and gaining respect as a young captain were all part of that. Despite having to make urgent repairs for $50,000 at one point, Harris persisted. He had established himself as one of the top on the Bering Sea by the middle of his 20s. Despite his tough exterior, which included chain smoking and yelling commands, Harris had a great affection for his team. He never demanded labor from others and equitably distributed profits. He refused to harm himself. Year after year, several crew members came back. Despite his difficult personal life, which included 2 divorces and battles with substance abuse, he never ceased prioritizing his team. He said that the risk was not the source of his concern. Since his guys might return home without anything, it was from empty crab traps. The Cornelia Marie witnessed significant improvements while Harris was in command. During a significant renovation, it was divided into 4 sections and expanded by 22 feet, increasing its crab capacity by 100,000 pounds. Working alongside him, his kids Josh and Jake made the boat a family heirloom. For the Cornelia Marie, a significant event occurred in 2005. In Season 2, it was one of just 4 boats to be permanently featured on Deadliest Catch. It wasn't simply luck, though. The producers had difficult decisions. They only wanted the greatest boats, and there were more than 250. They reduced it to roughly 89 by the end of the year. Captain Phil Harris and the Cornelia Marie's powerful catches made it stand out. At first, Phil wasn't sure. He was concerned that cameras would show too much or disrupt life on board. The conversations were difficult. Boats with personality and dependability were what the Discovery Channel was looking for. Phil wanted to maintain filming while doing risky labor in order to preserve the anonymity of his staff. Additionally, the timing was perfect. The fishing community adopted the new individual fishing quota system that year, replacing the previous derby system. This smaller elite group was only open to the best boats. Cornelia Marie deserved her place. It was a risk to take Phil's boys, Josh and Jake, on board the Cornelia Marie. This was not solely a family choice. It gave the show a completely new dimension. Phil wasn't kind to them. He ensured that they put in just as much effort as everyone else. What the audience witnessed was authentic. The fighting, the stress. The times when being a captain and a father conflicted. One scene stuck in the minds of the audience. Phil remarked, "You need to go to treatment, man," after glancing at Jake. "You will at least have a chance." The boys' journey through the hard world of crab fishing was chronicled on the episode. And when Phil's health started to deteriorate, it was evident how difficult they were. Millions of fans mourned Phil's death in 2010. Josh made an effort to take the lead. Jake battled his inner demons. People saw the Harris family's ups and downs. It was more than a show. It was similar to viewing actual life. Fans adored Phil in large part because of his personality. He expressed his thoughts. He had a genuine, unvarnished sense of humor. Lines like "feel like a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest" are impossible to forget. Or do you now understand why lions consume their young? People were able to relate to him because of his humor, which also helped him get through difficult circumstances. More than 5.4 million viewers saw Phil's stroke and subsequent death. Many claimed they shared the Harris family's tears. Phil became the center of Deadliest Catch and more than just a captain. His words are still circulated online by fans. They continue to purchase hats and t-shirts bearing his quotes. His soul endures. Then there was the actual boat. Unlike the others, Cornelia Marie had a unique appearance. Its vivid blue and yellow hues made it simple to identify. The boat became a brand because of the appearance, which wasn't merely for show. Hats, shirts, and model ships were purchased. When they spotted the ferry in port, they uploaded pictures. The Cornelia Marie's reputation endured even when it changed owners or took a break from the show. It became a representation of tradition and grit thanks to its daring paint job. Docked. Crab was being offloaded. Phil suddenly fell to the ground. A huge stroke. His team sprang into action. To get help, they radioed. EMTs arrived quickly. Every second mattered. The closest large hospital was hundreds of miles away due to St. Paul Island's extreme remoteness. They flew him to Anchorage, set up a medevac, and stabilized him. Phil fought for his life as he was whisked away, leaving his sons and staff horrified. It was all caught on video. Every second, every tear. It brought up difficult questions with each desperate radio call. Should the world see such suffering? Phil was unable to answer yes or no. The family collaborated with Discovery. The Harris lads agreed. To respect their father, they wanted everyone to see the truth. However, it was a decision that still causes anxiety in individuals today. Initially, Phil appeared to have a chance. He gave his hands a squeeze. He said something. He made a joke. The physicians found it hard to believe. Phil performed what most stroke victims need months to do in a few days. The world began to hope, but hope isn't always kind. Everything changed with an unexpected brain bleed. Phil's health deteriorated. His friends and sons remained at his side. All that remained was to bid them farewell. Phil Harris passed away on February 9, 2010, at the age of 53. His mother's bones were interred with half of his ashes in a Harley-Davidson gas tank, while the remaining portion was dumped into the ocean. His home had always been the water. On July 20, 2010, 5.4 million people watched Redemption Day, the Deadliest catch episode. One of the most watched episodes ever was this one. In addition to witnessing a captain's last days, viewers also witnessed the heartache of a family, the loss of a crew, and the harsh price of a difficult life at sea. Josh and Jake, the sons of Captain Phil Harris, were left with a difficult and almost impossible responsibility following his death in February 2010. Although they didn't have complete ownership of the boat and the expense of buying out the other partners was higher than they had anticipated, they still intended to retain the Cornelia Marie in the family. It was made more difficult by the fact that the Cornelia Marie, which was constructed in 1989, also required significant repairs. The brothers repeatedly applied for loans, but hardly one took them seriously. They were viewed as too hazardous, too young, and too inexperienced by banks and investors. Family conflicts added to all of it. The boat was named for Phil's former business partner Cornelia Marie Devlin, who owned a significant portion of the ship and occasionally disagreed with the Harris brothers. The talks were heated. Josh and Jake spent years trying to prove themselves to their crew, the fishing community, and millions of viewers while fighting to preserve their father's legacy. It appeared as though they would never be successful. The Cornelia Marie entered a difficult period following Phil's passing. Phil's longtime friend Derek Ray took over as acting captain. It was his responsibility to fulfill Phil's desire for the boat's tail to go on to the Deadliest catch. However, Ray's leadership created conflict almost immediately. He was severe. He was at odds with the Mourning brothers, particularly Jake. To scare Jake straight, Ray even contacted the police and accused him of using drugs on board. The workers and fans were taken aback by that event. The boat, which Phil had brought together, felt split now. Morale plummeted. The workers nearly went on strike when the crab haul was subpar. They accused Ray of being abusive and failing to catch crab. One of the most traumatic and dramatic times in Cornelia Marie's history occurred during this time. After years of hardship, Josh Harris finally managed to move on. He paired up with Casey McManus, a friend from his youth who had developed into a proficient deckhand and engineer. They raised the necessary funds together. Josh purchased 45% of the Cornelia Marie. Casey purchased 5%. Two outside investors each received 25% of the remaining 50%. They were able to overhaul the yacht thanks to this deal. In 2015, they introduced new Cummins engines with 750 horsepower and made other significant upgrades. Both men were appointed co-captains. Josh contributed vision and heart. Casey contributed technical expertise. They occasionally quarreled and perplexed onlookers. However, they worked together to save the Cornelia Marie's life and bring it back to the Deadliest catch. Jake's life was collapsing as Josh was repairing the boat and his future. Even before Phil passed away, his addiction had been apparent. The episode where Phil confronted him for stealing medications was seen by millions of people. Jake acknowledged his addiction. The absence of Phil made everything worse. In 2010, Jake was arrested for DUI. He was detained once more in 2017 on charges of narcotics possession and auto theft. He was imprisoned in 2019 for both DUI and heroin distribution attempts. More jail time, a license suspension, and a police pursuit. The spiral was ominous. Jake lost contact with Cornelia Marie and Josh. His tale turned into a heartbreaking lesson of how addiction can ruin a life, even in a resilient and strong family. Fans were taken aback in October of 2016, when Josh and Cornelia Marie were absent from Deadliest Catch Season 13. Rumors erupted on social media. Josh clarified things via a video post. It had nothing to do with drama aboard. It resulted from a choice the makers made. That season, they decided to concentrate on other boats. Josh expressed his displeasure and reassured supporters that he and the team were prepared to go fishing. The fans were incensed. A lot of people even threatened to stop watching the show unless Cornelia Marie returned. The entire event demonstrated the strong bond that people had with the Harris family and their yacht. It wasn't a personal choice to exclude the Cornelia Marie from that season. The goal of the network was to change up the plots. They believed that in order to maintain viewer attention after so many years, the show needed new perspectives. Josh and the team, however, were irritated by this move. The show was linked to their reputations and lives. It served as a sobering reminder that, in practice, TV producers have complete control over the plot, regardless of actual events. The Harris family also experienced dreadful health difficulties on top of everything else. At one point, multiple family members were in the intensive care unit simultaneously. Renee Harris suffered a severe heart attack in July 2024. She was on life support for days, required a double bypass, and was in the intensive care unit for a week. 4 times, her heart stopped. Brain bleeds, strokes, and other medical crises were experienced by other family members. It was crushing stress. Instead of fishing or filming, they had to concentrate on surviving. Supporting comments and financial donations were sent by fans who banded together. Josh's grandfather, Captain Grant Harris, passed away, which further compounded the grief. Josh was devastated by this second loss after losing Phil. He felt a great deal of pressure to live up to 2 generations of skipper while battling his own issues. Josh has been candid about his battles with anxiety and despair, but those same setbacks have strengthened his resolve. He wished to continue the Cornelia Marie story in remembrance of his father and grandfather. During the entire process, the Deadliest Catch crew evolved beyond simple camera operators. They grew to be like family. They experienced the same icy winds, perilous waters, and restless nights. They witnessed the Harris family's most intimate moments, including their triumphs, heartbreaks, and grief. They frequently participated in the meals, the duties, and even the conflicts, although occasionally they had to take a backseat during really private moments. Fans who had been missing the Cornelia Marie a lot were energized by her return in Deadliest Catch Season 14. Many viewers were devastated by the boat's disappearance in 2017. The show's blue and yellow hull had come to represent Captain Phil Harris's memory. There was unmistakable excitement when Discovery revealed that it will be returning for the 2018 season. Posts, jokes, and even petitions pleading with the network to retain the boat in the lineup went viral on social media. As viewers tuned in to watch Josh Harris and Casey McManus in charge, ratings skyrocketed. There was more to this than nostalgia. Supporters wanted to see if Phil's legacy could be upheld by the younger generation. The relief and happiness were evident. It was like receiving a bit of the show's spirit back when Cornelia Marie made a reappearance. When Deadliest Catch Bloodline debuted in 2020, the Harris story took an unexpected new turn. The action was shifted from the frigid waters of Alaska to the sunny coasts of Hawaii in this spin-off. It all began when Josh discovered between 50 and 60 antique fishing charts on the Cornelia Marie, concealed in his father's stateroom. There were odd annotations and noted fishing sites on 3 of these maps for Hawaii. Josh teamed up with Casey and Jeff Silva, a local fisherman, determined to follow his father's hints. They worked together to uncover Phil's map secrets. They were pursuing more than simply large fish, such as ahi tuna, which can fetch up to $2,000 apiece. They were discovering a previously unknown aspect of Phil's history. Bloodline demonstrated to viewers that Phil's aspirations went well beyond crab fishing by fusing fishing with a personal journey. Leadership changes gradually became apparent as the Cornelia Marie continued to sail. After joining as co-captain in 2014, Casey McManus started to assume more and more leadership roles. Casey took over while Josh dealt with personal and legal issues. By season 14, viewers could see Casey running the boat and making important choices. His abilities kept the Cornelia Marie operating efficiently and profitably behind the scenes. Casey's leadership grew crucial as Josh's prominence diminished, particularly once his sinister secrets were revealed. Casey eventually relocated ashore and took a position at a large marine corporation as vice president of operations. His ascent demonstrated the Cornelia Marie's reliance on capable hands rather than just a well-known moniker. Josh's life was collapsing in the meantime. As his personal issues worsened, his once supportive fans were taken aback. His reputation was eroded by relationship issues, money troubles, and unpredictable behavior. When it was revealed in September 2022 that he had entered a guilty plea to sexually assaulting a juvenile years prior, it was the hardest blow. Discovery moved quickly. They severed all connections with Josh and took Bloodline and Deadliest Catch down from streaming services. Almost immediately, Josh's reputation fell apart. The shocking revelation of old court documents that appeared online in August 2022 was a terrible illustration of how celebrity may break under the weight of unspoken facts. When fans discovered that Josh, then 15 years old, had sexually abused a family friend's daughter, who was then 4 years old, they were horrified. The case specifics were terrible. The youngster couldn't even comprehend what was going on. Charges were not brought until the following year due to DNA delays. Josh spent 9 months in jail after entering a plea to a lesser offense in 1999. Additionally, he had to do 2 years of therapy. Many believe that, considering the crime, the punishment was excessively mild. This horrible past remained secret for over 20 years. Fans felt deceived and furious when the truth was eventually revealed, pondering how such a grave offense had gone unnoticed. Once word spread, Discovery acted swiftly. Josh and the Cornelia Marie had been completely removed from their presentations by September 2022. Bloodline was cancelled. Streaming platforms in the US, Canada, and other countries stopped carrying old episodes. Even tweets and promotional posts vanished. The network does not want to be associated with the issue. Fans' opinions were divided. While some lamented Cornelia Marie's passing from their screens, others applauded Discovery's prompt response. Despite being innocent throughout it all, Casey McManus also paid a price. Discovery severed Casey's relationship with Josh as well. His tenure on the show ended without his fault, and his contract was not renewed. Supporters thought it was unjust. Despite his long-standing admiration, Casey was caught in the middle of the tempest. Since then, he has changed careers and is now employed on tugboats. His TV run ended abruptly, demonstrating how quickly things can go wrong in reality TV. Cornelia Marie began a new chapter in 2024. Taylor Jensen revealed that he and other partners had purchased the boat on June 17. Jensen, Roger Thomas, Carrie Toivola, and Jake Albino were on the team. Albino assumed the role of captain. The sight of new faces prepared to guide Cornelia Marie into the future thrilled fans. The boat's history was respected, but the new owners made it plain that fishing, not celebrity, would be their main priority. Cornelia Marie was finally free of the Harris family's shadow following Phil Harris's passing. With hope for a future based on hard effort at sea rather than drama on screen, a new era had begun.